There we go.
We're live.
All right, everyone. It is the beginning of the new era for UVA basketball. Ron Sanchez takes over the helm in his debut game tonight as head coach. Welcome to Locker Room Access, UVA basketball with Dougie Fresh, Chris Havlicek, T-Dubs, who was not in my picture, and I am Mark Jerome. Exciting night, guys. Lots of questions, lots of answers will be, some answers tonight, I would imagine, have. What are you expecting? What are you expecting tonight to see, Have? Do you expect us to jump out early, excited? Do you expect us to have a slow start?
Well, first I'll say, what a busy day yesterday. We had the election. We had the college football playoff, the 12 teams announced. We had NFL draft, but that was all JV stuff. Now we're into the real stuff, Virginia basketball. We're here. I'm excited. Look, it's been I put this on LRA, posting on forum. It seemed really long this offseason. I think the offseason seemed longer because the second it ends, you've got kids transferring out, kids transferring in, recruiting. Like, it seems like a long haul, but we're back, and I'm excited about it. Ron's first game, you only get one chance to have your first game, so I'm hoping we make it a good one, and I know Fresh is with me on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's.
Go ahead, Dougie.
No, I think it felt long. I think it's longer now as you pay attention more because there's a transfer portal season out, transfer in, guys that graduate or leave or whatever the scenario is, and I keep forgetting who's on the team. Like, I'm like, I forgot about Tane. I forget, which is dumb because he's been there the longest, But then Day Day and the new Coffee Kid and Sharma. So it's tons of new faces, guys we haven't seen. And I'm gonna make a rule: once you're in college and you're playing, fans are not allowed to say, "Well, he was really good in Peach Jam." That's got to be.
I agree, 100%.
Okay. Mark, you would know more than us about that in the modern day game, but. That's enough. Your Peach Jam, TJ Power, the all defensive team there, that does not count anymore.
Hey, I was a really good trumpet player, and I played the trumpet really well in the eighth grade. But we don't talk about that anymore. Let's move on.
Habs, I love the top. That you could have worn that while you're playing the trumpet, just so you know, in your marching band.
Well, a lot of people, I wear this when I go shopping sometimes. It sort of looks like I'm a cheerleader on the team, which I kind of was, but this was our warm up, and what's remarkable about it is the poor quality of material. No one would, prison inmates get better material than what we had in 1989, 1990. So. But it's a good throwback. I wore it for Fresh. He had one, and mine still sort of fits me, not the way it's supposed to, but I'm still sporting it tonight.
That's more remarkable that it fits you than the poor quality of material. T-Dubs, are you with us?
I think he's off
Okay.
camera. I think he had to run.
Have who do you expect to start tonight? What do you expect to see in terms of offense?
Well, I think it's kind of the most important question tonight is who starts. We've had this sort of veil of secrecy around it, like every team. With Worley gone, I think Isaac obviously starts. Buchanan obviously starts. We're covering stuff that we always talk about, but I'll say Day Day's going to start. The big question here is. And Saunders, but who is that sort of third guard wing player? Lots of candidates. You got TJ Power, you've got Rhodey, you've got Tane. All of them bring a different element of skill to the game. They also bring a different element of weakness. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out. We'll find out very shortly. But I think personally it's going to be Day Day, Isaac, TJ, Saunders, Blake. That's my prediction.
Dougie, we've been talking about the personnel this year. Yep. We have not talked about who your favorite guys are going to be. We know IMAC. Elijah's not there this year. Who's going to be your guys this year?
Chase Coleman, probably. Kyle Guy. I'm lost. You know, I don't have a connection so much, and I don't know any of them, or none of them have big time me. Like one of my favorite Who's of all time, Reese Beekman, that was a special one. You know, getting to meet you and Ty that time and being able to root for him to finally get off the bench at some point during his career. Ty Jerome, that was fun. He finally got to play some minutes. But, you know, are we getting old, Marky? I don't know. Like, our kids are grown and your kids, you know, are professional, and my kids have jobs and all that. So I like them all, man. Maybe Tane, you know, he high-fived me one time. I told him I used to have a body like his, and he laughed at me, and that was that. So there we are.
So Jim Romeo.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Hav.
I was going to say there is a tradition on LRA where Fresh kind of forces an uncomfortable relationship with one of the players' parents, right? Where it's like a little bit awkward. He sees him at Bodo's and they sort of know who he is, but it's like, you know, so we still have to figure that one out.
All right. Jim Romeo just made a comment that he expects to see a pretty extensive rotation. What's your take on that? Do you expect to see 10 guys playing tonight? Do you expect to see 6 guys playing tonight? TB had a pretty fairly small rotation. He maybe played 3 guys off the bench typically. Do you expect to see a difference with Sanchez?
It shrinks. It feels like it shrank, and it shrinks as the season goes on. Maybe not so much when your son played. Maybe it was different than I don't remember. But I think we're going to see a lot. I hope we do, because I don't mean we're winning by a lot of points. If it shrinks tonight, that means we're in a very tight game, and he's going with whoever he thinks he trusts. So I'll be interested to see. Sorry to jump off your question, but the coach's interaction with Jason Williford, associate head coach, could have been the head coach. You know, is Jay Willie going to be subbing guys more freely? That type of thing.
It's such a good point, Dougie. Is there a little friction between the coaches? What's Jay Woodley's role now? I know them to be close friends when I was there, or when Ty was there. But I don't know, you know, the elephant in the room is maybe there's a little tension now. I know. Have you spoken to him, Dougie? Have you spoken to Jay?
We've texted, and we've all spoken as a group. And, you know, our guys, obviously from our time, weren't happy the way it went down. We're not happy that Jason didn't get the head nod for the year or longer. I'll be frank. I know Jason is extremely competitive. He's not said one word about anything bad to me. He said, hey, we're going forward. We're going to be good. And Jason's a coach. You know, the worst thing he could do is not coach this year and be a free agent. He needs to be around it. He's great at it, and he's great for the university, and he's great for our basketball team.
You know, of course, first game with Tab, you want to chime in?
Well, I'll say I agree. I think it makes a look. There's no doubt when Ron got the job, there's envy, right? Envy's real. It happens in all of our jobs. Someone gets promoted ahead of you, like it's a fact of life. I know Jason, he's going to compete. He's such a big part of UVA. Like, you know, even dating back to almost before he came and played at UVA, he was coming to games. So there's like a lifelong affinity there and a stewardship there. And I know he will do everything he can to help us win. But back to your question, Mark, is Ron going to play a lot of people? Yeah. So let's just say, I'm going to say 2 things. Number one, no one on our team got recruited by Campbell, and no one on Campbell got recruited by us. So I think we have a massive advantage from a talent perspective. What they have and what we have is a bunch of new players. They have 6 new players. You know, we have three transfers. So, and some freshmen, Kofi, Sharma, and Bliss, I guess, is a freshman. So there's a lot of new players. If I'm Ron, I would look to play a bunch of combinations to find out what works. A lot of people on LRA saying, should we go big? Should we go small? I'd say we go good. Who are the guys that play together really well? It doesn't matter if they're 6'3" or 6'6". Like, let's play the guys that mesh. that fit together. So I expect to see a lot of combinations to answer your question.
And that may not be known for a couple of games, have what you're saying.
Oh, it's ongoing. Right? You're right. 100% right.
Yep. And so before I got to jump off, I'm going to leave it to you guys to finish the pregame.
Uh-oh.
Do we expect to see TB tonight, and where do you expect to see him sitting?
You know what? I was gonna initially. I was thinking about that. I was gonna say no chance he's there. I think he'll be there, and I would guess the way I think he is, and you guys may know. I think he'll be in like a box, like a suite scenario. He doesn't want to have any attention on him. Won't be sitting in the crowd. Won't be on the bench yelling at referees. Although we wish he did. Wish he was. I think he'll be in the box.
I have a different take. I think he talked with Ron. He either met with Ron today, saw him, or showed up briefly at Ron's office, wished him well. And they've talked about this for sure. And he said, good luck. This is your show. I want, go all in, go hard. I don't think Tony walks in because knowing Tony and one of the pillars, humility, like he doesn't want to take away from Ron's first win. So I think he's not there. I think he's got some smart popcorn, maybe like some beef stroganoff cooking on the stove. It's probably a little cold in Charlottesville, and he's going to enjoy the game as a spectator. But that's just my guess.
You'll be shocked. It is balmy up here. I had a sweatshirt on this morning. I came out of
Oh, maybe it's hot. I don't know.
It's balmy. It's almost humid. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Oh man, I think he'll be in the arena somewhere, but obviously extremely incognito to your point. But I don't know. I do not
in disguise. Are we going costume? Maybe like a fake janitor type thing? Probably not. Maybe.
That would be great. And I think he's dressed as Tony Elliott, the football coach tonight. He'll, nobody will know who it is.
All right. Did Markey drop?
Mm-hmm. Take over, Hav.
All right. Let's get into. Let's do some questions here.
Yeah, I like
Jen saying she thinks he's going to be here, but not sitting anywhere behind the bench. I don't know.
No.
I really feel like I remember when Dean Smith handed it over to Bill Guthridge, he made a point of not going that full year. That seems to me more like Tony's style than to be in there. I think he wants Ron to have his moment. But let's get beyond that. I think Fresh, the biggest. So we've talked starters, right?
Yep. Rotations.
I told you who I think is going to start. I think it's going to be Day.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Isaac. I think it's going to be TJ, Saunders, and Buck. Do you agree or disagree?
I think it was somewhat leaked, so I'm swayed by that. What I would have said without having any idea, Day, Isaac, McNeely, obviously. I thought Rhodey would start, and I thought Blake, and I thought Saunders. But I think it's going to be TJ Powers in the place of Rhodey. Now, I've said a lot. I like Rhodey off the bench. He can watch the game. He's one of the few. He's the one guy that can sub three positions. He can be the point guard in small stints. He can be the two guard. He can be the three position, which the 2 and the 3 are pretty interchangeable. But I think him off, and then Tane, serves a different purpose off the bench. Different but similar, not the point guard for sure. Maybe they'll platoon Tane and Rhodey for Day and IMAC or something, or TJ Power, depending. I'm not big, Hav. I don't know if you are either. I never thought that when we played, we tried to go big or small on purpose. It seems like that happens a lot more now. And I don't know Ron's philosophy. Jason talked a lot about how Tony would make those decisions in the middle of the game, right? We're going to go small here and try to wear them down or whatever. So I don't really think that way. I think you find your best guys who are playing, and you play, and we'll see.
I agree. And I think the big, we hear a lot of chatter on LRA, big lineup, small lineup. So much is matchup dependent. If you're playing a really big team, right? But let's be honest, we're playing Campbell.
Right.
Let's talk about them for a minute. So 1-0, they beat a D3 team last night, Pfeiffer. Kind of cool. They have 4 guys, international guys. They got a guy from Lithuania, England, Iceland, and Guyana. The Iceland kid is good. He led them in points off the bench. I was reading about him this afternoon. He's one of those guys that like started playing in the pro leagues when he was like 15. So I don't think he'll be overwhelmed, but he had 15 points in 18 minutes. Good player, about 6'5". He's actually from Grindavik, Iceland, and I'm not sure if you know this, but that's home of the Blue Lagoon, which is a geothermal spa. It's also home, which I think is cool, the Leaf and Lucky Bridge, which is actually, it marks the boundary of where the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates come together. I don't know if you know that, but I'm just bringing that little fact to LRA. It's a geographically significant area. But they have some good players. And Who's Got Next pointed out on the show that they have a kind of a theme on the roster. I think the one is they've got international. The two is they've kind of done the opposite of what the big programs do. They're looking at Power 5 guys that are transferring down because they didn't get a chance, whereas we're typically bringing, high-powered guys up. Mid-major, low-major guys up. So different strategies. And you'll recognize this name fresh. Anthony Del Orso was their star freshman last year, who was at one point a favorite of LRA because he was a very good player as a freshman at Campbell. But different recruiting styles. Do you think big lineup, small lineup, does that really matter, or just get the guys that are going to win?
No, that's what I said before. I think you go with guys and who, sometimes the hot hand. We haven't had much of a hot hand lately, right? Except for Isaac. By the way, breaking news: Rhodey's starting at point.
Is he really?
Rhodey, Imac, Powers, Power. What's his name? Power. Saunders, Blake. Yeah, I don't think about. I think we were more interchangeable. I remember when you came in the Duke game at Duke that time, and like 2 or 3 different times you came in for quick stints. That was maybe it was foul trouble, but you were sent in to guard somebody on the other on Duke's team, Thomas Hill, to make some disruptive plays, bring energy. I like those type of things. I don't like looking at the other team and like Carolina never looked at us and said, "Oh, I'm going to put this guy in because Doug's missing." No, they played. I'd rather be more like that, especially against Campbell, right? Let's be honest there. So.
Yeah, totally. And, again, like no one ever said, I don't think when we played, nobody ever said, we're going small because Doug Smith came in. It was like, oh, yeah. Doug can shoot. He's in. Like it does. If you were 6'5" and shot the same, like, would you have been, like remarkably better? No, you're a really good player. You came in, you hit your shots, and you're a really good ball handler.
Yeah,
and
there used to be a little like, Back when we played, the point guards, the starting point guards were NBA prospects, right? Chris Corciani, Kenny Anderson, keep going. We had John Crowley, Corey Allen. When they brought
Williams
to spell them, I would go in. That was kind of the chess match, if anything.
Right?
Or I'd come in to spell Crowley. Maybe they take Corciani out and Corciani never came out. Maybe they take somebody out. I don't know. But I got to play against all those guys, and it was fine. And that's how we did it.
I got to be honest. I'm just going to say it, and I know I'm probably the most critical on LRA, but I am flabbergasted and gobsmacked that Andrew Rhodey is starting at point guard for us over Day.
It's telling on two sides, right? Like, is Day not been good? Is there no trust from the staff on Day? Are we going to be extremely boring and play backwards? It hits me the wrong way too, man.
It doesn't. You know what? And I posted this. Yeah, I posted this on LRA earlier in the week. I said if Rhodey's playing more than 20 minutes, we're like not in the top half of the ACC. Now that was based off last year's performance. So maybe, just maybe, we put him in a better role. But I'll be honest, I have my doubts. Like I would much rather have like an attacking guy that's really hard to guard. And as I've said to you and said to the people on forum, like I think other coaches, once we get deeper into conference play and when we play more talented non-conference opponents, like they're going to be happy to see Rhodey there. I think, like, I would be more worried about guarding Day than Rhodey.
Yep. We talk about all the time. There's guys that you, and I don't want to say you feared because you're a basketball player too and you play, but like you're not afraid to check a guy like Rhodey based off of last year, right? That's not you can rest a little bit, right? And especially can we adjust and talk about that? I want to see what we do offensively. I've heard from people at practice that a couple of wrinkles, especially for IMAC, have been brought in. I don't know if I should spoil it, but it has to do with Allen Iverson, the way he used to get over.
Spoil it. You already spoiled it.
All right, I spoiled it, but it's just different. You know, we've said it. Isaac is going to be ganged up on. He's the one known commodity on this team, right? He was in the top 3, I think, percent field 3-point shooters last year on volume. People know he can shoot the 3. He wasn't great going to the basket in terms of finishing. I think he's much better than he showed. But, you know, he can explode. He can go 3. He can go 4 in a row out of nowhere. And people are going to really run him off the line, close out on him, the whole 9. So let's see if we can watch specific things to see that we're doing things differently with IMAC to get him open.
Yeah, you know, that's another big topic of conversation is like, are we really revamping the offense or are we just going to be a little bit more opportunistic? And I think that's what we're going to see. Like, we're not, if we get an open shot early in the shot clock, we should take it. I think that'll be the difference. I don't think we're going to run like massively different sets for anyone. But look, IMAC is going to be a lot more effective for us if he is not the primary scoring option. We need Saunders to step up and be a real threat, because then he becomes, when he is the only threat to score from outside, which we saw all of last year, it was really, really stale. And the game plan, the blueprint, you know, we hate that word, but we're going to use it again, was to just kind of face guard him. Don't let him catch it, and force him to dribble and pull up. And, you know, the mid-range game, everyone rips on the mid-range game. Mid-range game is fine if you make the shot.
That's right.
That's one thing people, you know, yes, a 3 is more valuable, but if you consistently, like, think about Brian Stiff. Like, he was a mid-range ninja.
Oh.
Like, it doesn't. Now I know times have changed and all that stuff, but I'm shocked that Rhodey is scoring so fresh. With I'm sorry, Rhodey is starting. With Rhodey starting, who's the first guy off the bench, do you think?
I think it might. If Rhodey's handling point guard responsibilities very well and everything's going smoothly, I think it's Tane. I think Tane, like I hate saying it, go small ball. Maybe he can get TJ Power or Isaac, but Isaac's probably not coming out much. Tane, Day, I guess it's got to be. You know, I feel like Rhodey at the straight up point guard that sounds very experimental to me. But how many years since we haven't had a point guard? Ty, Kihei, Reese, right? That was always the stable part. And before that, I guess who was it, London or whoever. So we've had the point guard. Now transfer portal, graduation. Kihei's not staying for his 17th year, etc. So it's a little unstable. You bring a transfer in, 2 of them, one who left, right? Worley's transferring or he's redshirting or whatever. Elijah being injured, he can't step into the point guard position for sure. Bliss sounds like he's been beat. He's not 100% back. So I don't know. Maybe it's telling without being telling. I'm a little alarmed by it, to be honest.
Let's talk about Bliss a little bit, because, you know, you mentioned the Peach Jam. We've all kind of looked back on that, and he looked really good, and several people have mentioned it. I did notice, and I posted today, like, something is not right in my mind that we've had such a premium on recruiting point guards, right? Whether it be Day, whether it be Trent Perry, whether it be Chance. Like, I feel like they've had enough time to look at Bliss, where if they felt really great about him, maybe they're not going after those point guards. Haney made a good point. There's different circumstances around each of those guys' recruitments. But when you look at it, when you pull back and look at it, if he was crushing in practice, maybe there's not as much significance and importance to point guard recruiting. Your thoughts as a point guard?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when, Crotty was graduating. I had been there 2 years. I thought I was ready to be able to run the team, and they recruited and signed a top 10 player in the country named Corey Alexander. And, in the beginning, I was like, all right, me, Corey, and Derek Johnson are competing because the guy graduated, John Crotty, and it's an open position. Everybody's like, no, Corey's going to start. He's going to start. What I was able to finally is say, you know what? We want the more better players, good players that we can get. At the end of the day, that's it. As you know, we all come together, good players. We're all really good, and we go at it every day. So once I got that off my mind, they're bringing guys over me because me and you both got recruited over, quote unquote, over every year. But I would just, all right, let's make sure we get all the best players. At the end of the day, we want to be good as a team, but I wanted to compete too, and kind of not give in. But it sends a signal, right?
You used a really good word. You used a great word with the roadie thing. You called it experimental. Do you think roadie would, if we were opening up against, Ohio State or something, it was like when we played, when you'd open with like a ACC Big Ten challenge or ACC Big East challenge, Georgetown or something. You think roadie would be starting against a team like that? Or is there some, like, let's see what he can do?
Yeah, because we can afford it against Campbell. You know what? You threw a curveball at me because I didn't think about it that way at all. It either tells me if Ron is extra conservative, he's not comfortable with Day or Bliss, or it's a full-on, you just made me think, a full-on experiment. Hey, maybe Rhodey can play this position, and this is a chance against a team. It's not Memphis. It's not the old Georgetown team that's going to beat him up and, full court press him, and he'll see if that works. I don't know. I'm a little back. I don't like it.
Yeah, let's talk about, so, we don't have much to go on. We hear rumors from practice. We have box scores from like controlled scrimmages, which are not, as you know, not great indicators of like how we'd actually play.
Yeah.
TJ Power and Sharma were not good from deep. What do you attribute that to? Is that just jitters? Is that we were chucking it up at the end of the shot clock because we couldn't get good things, or do you think we were just missing?
I think just missing, and it's not a good quote unquote omen. You don't, it's tough. It's tough for two guys to go 0 for 19 or 1 for 19 in the one game. I think there was a 0 for 9 and a 1 for 10, or something like that. And the other game, nothing got better. Are people good standing around in the gym by themselves at the end of the shot? I don't buy the end of the shot clock stuff. You shoot the ball, it goes in or it doesn't, right? Yeah. All those threes didn't come. There's only 2 buzzers in college basketball, right? Halftime and the end of the game. There's only 2 threes from half court, and I guess buzzer beaters on the shot clock. But it's not good. I think they're both very good shooters from what I've seen in Peach Jam specifically, in the Ontario League. But I don't know. They that's where Sharma could make his name. If you come down and you make 2 out of 3 threes, and you play seven or so minutes, you're gonna get a lot of time. So I don't know.
All right, let's shift to the front court. Blake last year.
My wheelhouse.
What's that?
My wheelhouse, the front court. I'm really good at these evaluations.
Well, look, Blake had his best game pretty much right away against Florida. He did a good job as a freshman. He looked like a freshman. Do we take a leap in the front court a little bit? I mean, this is a big year for him. Like when you play as many minutes as he did as a freshman, he's gotten a little bit bigger. He didn't come back looking like, Hulk Hogan or anything like that. And that's to be expected because it's a gradual physical climb. It's not like a 1-year thing. But what do you expect from Blake and specifically Kofi?
I think Blake is going to look really good in games like tonight. when it's Campbell and they have, I think they have 3 or 4 or 5 guys like who are like 6'8", 6'9", maybe 1 7-footer who's probably irrelevant. But like, look, Blake had the big game against Florida last year. He went through an AC schedule. He played against Baycott, right? And these guys. So this is going to be for him for sure playing against the B team, so to speak, right? And he's got a lot of experience. So I think games like this, he's going to look really good, and I wouldn't get very excited about it. I do want to see how Coffee comes in because I think he's not mature, but he comes in more ready and more refined as a first year than other guys, including Blake were. But Blake did great, fine. But I like to see how he comes in and finds his way around the court and is not around a bunch of like 6 foot to 5'10" white dudes in Oregon or Washington. He's going to be playing with taller guys, right? And I want to see how he maneuvers and handles himself that way. As Saunders, I'm not worried about against anybody. He looks just, we call him a mini Bryant Stith. He reminds me of
he's mini Bryant, for sure.
The body, of course, that's blasphemy to talk about anybody like the Bryant Stith, but I'm not worried about Saunders at all.
What about Anthony Robinson? You were a big proponent of him last year, seeing him in practice a couple times. Obviously, he's put on weight. He looks great. Is this a chance for him to get minutes tonight?
Absolutely. And again, we both hope we do because we'll be up by 25 or 30. I'd give him rotational minutes, man. I've seen the guy. He's a specimen. His background, we talked about it. His grandfather was an Olympian. He's lived all over the world. And I saw him in the weight room. Me and you can go and do 1 million push-ups or whatever. Nothing changes. I was watching him press by press, his muscles changing and growing. He's just got that kind of a development. He dunks everything. He's going to have highlight dunks. I'll tell you that much. Not highlights like the one we saw at Gonzaga, but just catching it, turning on people, and just booming it, which an element we need, right?
Yeah. So broader question here. Ron's first game, as I said earlier, you only get one chance to have your first game.
Yeah.
Is he going for the win? Obviously, he's going for the win, but is he going to sacrifice like a point spread for, rotational exploration? Like, does he want to see players? Does he want to win by, 30 to make a statement? Or is he more interested in seeing who plays well together, trying different lineups in a real game, all that stuff?
I think I don't know. I know Ron very well, fairly well, but I don't know how he looks at basketball and how much he's evolved. So there's a thing called net right now, right? So is Ron's goal to go to the NCAA tournament with this team? If it is, he wants to win by 30, right? Or whatever the number is, 20. And then you may do things differently. Is his goal for the team to get better and better as the season goes? Then he's going to play a lot of guys. Is his goal to win tonight and that's it? That's everything's different. And I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure he knows that. I think every game you go into, I think coaches want to play a lot of guys. I really do. And then when things get tight, they get tight and they go with who they trust. So I don't suspect it'll be tight tonight. I hope not.
All right, let's get into 2 predictions. I'm going to ask you score and then who is our MVP?
I think it's going to be shockingly low score. I think not shockingly. I think it's going to be
over under. I think it's 128.5, right?
I saw 133.5, which is
okay. Maybe it moved.
What's the math on that? 65 and 65, 0-1, 130. Like, I think it's going to be like a 67 to 50 game. Us.
Okay, and who do you think is who's the player that emerges from this game where we all say, "Wow, that guy's been working hard. He's ready. He's going to be good this year," which is premature, but we'll still say it.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Well, I think the eye opener is going to be Saunders. He's playing a couple levels above his level of the Campbell's below in my mind. We're going to be like, wow, he's really good, but that's not my answer. I think Rhodey's going to head fake us and have a really good game tonight. I'm not sure I believe it's going to sustain for the season, but I think Rhodey being given the keys, right? Is what everybody says? He's been given the keys if he's the point guard. And either he'll over distribute and go slow, or he'll just take it and play like he did at St. Andrews in Minnesota. So,
yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a like 70. I'm going to say 70-53 game. So we're right in the same category. And then, you know what I really want to see? I want to see Blake have a good game. This is a game where, as an experienced ACC big against arguably undersized guys, that maybe he has some great dunks, and I'd love to see him score in the low post, something we haven't done in a long time, where we throw it in there. So I'm gonna pick Blake on that one, but and we'll get to some questions here. We'll look at them. Guys, join us at halftime. We'll do a quick halftime show, and then post game we'll actually have a lot to talk about. It'll be a real game with a real box score that we can analyze, overanalyze, dig in, accuse your best friend of being a bad person, all the things we look forward to at Locker Room Access when we get a real box score. So thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you at halftime. Let's go Hoos. Let's get a big win. Ron Sanchez, first win. We'll see how we do.
Go Hoos.
Let's go.